Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Van Helsing. A great finale. A lot of stuff went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I really appreciate, too, that this finale bounced all over the place, like between the different groups and stuff like that, because that was something that I brought up previously. I was curious how they were going to handle it, because a lot of, like, the previous finales were kind of in one place. They didn't really bounce around too much, especially, but this episode kind of did, and I thought that was kind of pretty neat. I guess it's because where a lot of the storylines were left hanging, they're like, no, we're not just going to completely leave you on a cliffhanger. We are, but not to the degree that you thought we would, because it's like, okay, we're going to go back to this situation, show you what's going down with it. So there's that. Because, to give an example would be, Season 2's finale. Technically, I'd brought it up before because the fact is it stayed with one group. Technically, it bounced, too, because it went from Abigail and Scarlet to Dimitri, Scab, and Ivory. But it was all, trying to find the Elder, and it was all in one location, but still. And everything with, in the first season with Vanessa and Muhammad, that whole thing was taking place in the Citadel, so that's kind of where I chalked that up as well. But nevertheless, moving past all of that, let's just get into it. First, the Denver situation, we have Neil motherfucking McDonough show up. I lost my shit, dude. Obviously, Neil McDonough, dude, you've seen him in plenty of movies, TV show-wise. He was in the Arrowverse, comic books and stuff like that. Obviously, playing Damien Dark in Arrow Season 4, then Season 2 and 3 of Legends of Tomorrow. Interestingly enough, the only reason why I remember this is because I recently went back and rewatched all the movies, is he actually pops up in the first Captain America movie, too, which is pretty dope. So it's just kind of funny, the whole wheelhouse of comic books and stuff like that. But nevertheless, it is also, his appearance kind of confirms what I thought before. Because at first I kept being I thought Harrison and fake Abigail, that whole situation, I thought they were all the remnants of Black Tech. And then Caitlyn and stuff, I was like, oh, so they must be the final remnants. It's but then Caitlyn talked about them having resources, the way they were able to get whatever they needed so quickly. It was okay, so Black Tech is much bigger, and it seems like that. I don't know if he's the head honcho, but at the very least, his character seems like at least one of the top people. It's always interesting because every time we see Black Tech, it's a new person that's actually the top person, so it's kind of an interesting thing how that goes down. So I love that little cat and mouse game he plays with Doc, being oh man, what happened to Caitlyn? And Doc's I had no choice but do what I had to do. And it's not realizing that secretly there was a camera in there, but he's not going to send Doc to Loveland because it's I know that's exactly where you want to go to be with your girlfriend. So no, we're not doing that. But I will have you stay here because you will be working on helping us deal with the Daywalkers, which is interesting considering the fact is the Daywalkers are a Black Tech issue, considering the fact is, once again, it's still was it them or was that something Harrison was doing all on his own? I mean, they were particularly at that specific, facility, so it could have just been his little pet project. Maybe they never knew about that. I don't know. Or whether this is their way of trying to clean up their own mess. We don't know what it is exactly they're up to. I'd assume there's supposed to be some evil corporation or company that's trying to take advantage of the apocalypse or something like that. It just, I don't know. It seemed like you could be doing a lot more, to help save the world, everything. It seemed like they kind of got their own agenda. What it is, we still don't know. Because I think we were only introduced to Black Tech last season, so it seems like they're growing and growing, becoming this powerful force that exists out there in the world that we just don't know a lot about at this point in time. I was actually curious what Doc was dipping the bullets in. I'm are we going to find out what it is? Turns out it's the main compound that's in the repellent. Which is kind of an interesting thought. If it's strong enough to repel vampires, if you get a high enough concentration of it, then obviously it could potentially kill them as well. Because there's also that conversation about that guy not knowing about the Daywalkers and stuff like that. I mean, to be fair, it's a widespreading situation, so unless you really come in contact with him, because he's you haven't noticed the fact is that these guys are out in the daylight and stuff like that. It's yeah, they walk past the UVs and stuff like that it was nothing. The fact is these things are smarter. Because that one of the dudes that was kind of heading a lot of the stuff, it seems like he's the head honcho in Denver. It seems like he didn't know a lot, so that makes me kind of think once again yeah, this has to be Harrison's pet project that Black Tech knew nothing about. Potentially, I don't know. Not less than, once again, that's more secrets they're keeping. But I thought it was kind of interesting, the whole Julius situation, because for him, it's he feels the most responsible. It's it's such a shame that he does, but for him, it's I'm the one who created Scab in the first place, so everything that he did killing Frankie potentially, which we see later on. Yeah, he didn't turn her, he just killed her, because turning her would have kept her around, I think, and he knew her, you know, being dead would just break Julius a lot more. So we never get the full confrontation of that. Like, we get the setup to it. So what's also interesting is we see Callie's in the cage of people. It's like, there's got to be something to that. That little girl keeps popping up everywhere. Like, every so often it's like, oh, bam, Callie's still alive. It's like, you've lived and managed to live this long, and it's just like, why? Like, I feel like they're setting that up to be something else. Maybe it's not. Maybe we'll end up finding out, like, maybe she has a connection to Black Tech. Maybe, like, one of her parents worked at Black Tech or something like that. Because, well, the only family she had left was her sister, you know. But, like I said, I don't know. Maybe there's going to be more to this. Maybe not. It's just kind of interesting. Maybe it's just kind of the whole thing of like, oh, let's reintroduce the character. I guess it's to add more stakes to the fact is all those people that are there, there's someone that Julius has a connection to that is like, oh, I gotta save them even more. So that situation got put on pause while Doc ended up getting the results from the blood. We don't know what exactly she found out, but then you had the whole situation of like Neil McDonough's character being like, we need her to perfect the repellent and stuff like that. Once again, making it seem like all of this is just kind of like a giant test tube for them all. I mean, to be fair, because it's even like, oh yeah, we made Denver what it is. We gave it to you to do whatever you want to. We have the utmost faith that you'll fix the situation. So it's like, Denver might not be the only Denver. There might be other places that Black Tech has made, or maybe Denver, like I said, is in fact their test tube, where it's just kind of like, we'll see if, you know, giving the resources, you know, testing this repellent out and stuff like that. Okay, good. Now we're going to mass produce that, and then we're going to take advantage of this apocalypse situation to kind of rise through the ranks. Like, I'm assuming Black Tech is like either some just well off, like, because obviously they've been neck deep in all of this, like, whole situation. So they've known about all of this for a while because of the whole Abigail situation and her connection to Black Tech and stuff like that. So they knew what was coming. Like I said, I get the feeling like they're trying to take advantage of it. In what shape or form, once again, I don't know. So there's that side of things. Then there's the whole culmination of everything with Vanessa, Scarlett, Axel, Muhammad, and Sam. That situation was really interesting because I love Sam seeing Vanessa and like, ooh, I love the eyes, and then fighting and her stabbing him multiple times in the side. And he's like, I have a destiny. She's like, I have one too. And I like that seer is, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised the way she just pops up in and out like that all the time. Like, she's pretty damn powerful because she's able to freeze Sam and Vanessa completely to the point they can't move. So it turns out with all of this, there technically isn't a fourth elder. That was all kind of not necessarily a lie, it's just something Abigail got wrong. It turns out that's what this has all been about. Like, the path to the Dark One, is you have to become a fourth elder. Like, once you become a fourth elder, I guess it's just kind of like you take the other totems that have been gathered, and as well as your own totem as an elder, and you raise the Dark One. So I guess it is that type of situation because I felt like this was all potentially leading to Vanessa being like, ooh, the bride of the Dark One or something like that, you know? So it could be like you're the Dark One's right hand, their ally, their friend, their guardian to a certain extent. I'm assuming that's potentially what that route is going to go down. Like, you become, because the whole point is that's what this all has been leading to. Either Sam or Vanessa becomes the fourth elder. And it was so interesting, too, what their totems were. Sam's totem was the one that he made, that he got from that place where he met Felix and all of that. And it's like, that was his totem. And what was Vanessa's totem? Dylan's ribbon. It's like, oh man, because I should have known, because they made such a point. Because I was like, what is it? Is it going to be like, is it one of your blades or something? Like, what is it? And it's like, of course, because they made such a point to point out a couple episodes ago, hey, she still has Dylan's ribbon. Like, they made such a point of that, so I thought it was kind of interesting. Scarlett and Axel showed up. I thought it was kind of interesting, you know, because it is kind of interesting that it did kind of go full circle, because I was like, this place does look a little familiar. And it wasn't until Scarlett pointed out that I was like, oh, right, this is where, and it was Scarlett and Axel, where it was kind of like, oh yeah, this is where that psychic vampire was, and where Vanessa went to China in the past because of the Elder, where she also killed, the Susan lookalike Elder. I was like, oh, right. So it's kind of interesting. I would say that's kind of interesting when it's like, oh yeah, like there was something here the entire time, you just didn't know it. It took your journey leading you where it was taking you to lead you back here to find this secret that's been buried here the entire time. So, and everything playing out the way it did, that sucks. For one, Muhammad dying sucks. I was like, yeah, you could join up with Vanessa. Once again, it goes to that point of like, I still don't know how that whole, like, when Vanessa turns people thing works. Like, it seems like the only people who got like a healing factor out of it is Julius and Phil. Because no one else, I mean, we haven't really seen Doc really get hurt, but like Axel doesn't seem like he heals in certain regards. Because like his wound, I guess because like once vampire DNA is introduced again, then you heal up rapidly. I guess that's about it. I guess that's like the benefactor of their situation. I mean, to be fair, like once again, maybe it depends on the early stages of. I don't know. Maybe you get because Phil's died multiple times. I'm about to say maybe you get a one. Like I don't know. Maybe subsequent heals only work on vampire practice. I have no idea because no one else heals. Muhammad didn't heal, like, which was kind of like, man, I'm kind of hoping for it. But I did like that, though, that Muhammad was kind of like, I am no longer yours. You turned me, you left me to die. The fact of the matter is, Vanessa saved me and gave me another chance. He's like, if I could, I wish I could be the one to kill you. I wish I could see it. But, for Sam, it's like he always hated Muhammad to a certain extent because Muhammad made him human, which is weird to say considering the fact is that you still killed people, so it's not like you were human. But I guess even though like I wasn't a complete sociopath, is kind of what he's putting himself as. And it's like you made me feel and care about someone. So that's kind of a shame that things kind of played out that way. Even the whole Scarlet situation, Scarlet sacrificing herself, being like that's what her whole purpose was. She's like, only one of us was going to make it through this anyway. And I was so hoping it wouldn't turn into that, because that was the whole reason why Vanessa left her behind in the first place. But for Scarlet, she's like, I'm here to help you fight the darkness. Let me be the sacrifice to save you from the darkness, save you from being consumed by it. And Axel's like, no, there has to be another way. But Scarlet kisses him goodbye and everything. I'm like, and she forces Vanessa to kill her, which I'm like, that sucks. No, like especially after all this time, like Vanessa had already lost Dylan, and she found found her mom, lost her mom. Technically didn't find her mom. Technically, Scarlet found their mom, or rather, their mom found her, and they lost her mom, and now she's lost her sister. Like she literally has no family left. That's shitty. Like everyone that she cares about seems to like die. And it was all for the purpose of like, oh, I'm gonna save you. Which then you have like the seer saying the super messed up thing of like, oh no, the darkness already consumed you. The moment it consumed you was when Dylan died, because you blamed yourself. It was your fault that she died. But she died because you bit her and turned her back to human. To be fair, that was a very extenuating circumstance. She thought she was saving Dylan, but in that moment, the darkness consumed her. I mean, to be fair, that was when it kind of makes sense, because that's when things really kicked up for her, because she let out that scream that everyone she had turned felt, and it woke up the first elder. So it's like, it kind of makes sense in retrospect. And the sad thing is, Axel is like, the fact of the matter is, you were strong. I've sacrificed and given everything to you, and you did this. Like, that was more so Scarlet, but for him, it's like, you were strong enough. You could have fought her. You could have found another way. He's like, I'm coming. If I see you again, Vanessa, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill all. I'm like, I did not see that coming. Like, I was thinking like, maybe Axel, it was Scarlett's decision in the end, but still, like, I guess the fact is that Vanessa went along with it, and it's just like, but still, dude, holy shit. That means, like, I mean, to be fair, like, Axel literally just went through the whole losing his sister thing. He got Scarlett back, and losing her like that's gotta suck. Once again, I guess that healing factor thing, well, I mean, to be fair, it's like you do enough damage to a vampire anyway. I mean, I guess that's the whole point of, like, stabbing them in their chest, so that even if they could heal, they can't. Just because, like, there's too much damage to their heart. It's kind of the whole point, because, like, once the body's, like, I mean, because I'm sure, because even Scarlett's healing factor probably isn't as crazy as Vanessa's is, but still, that sucks. But even when this all being said and done, Vanessa won't give into darkness, which the seer's like, oh, you're such a disappointment. Sam turns into a literal devil because of the damn horns and everything. Didn't see that coming. And then there's the whole, like, them about to fight and, like, almost like two titans clashing. But he's still too strong at this point, now that he's risen to become an elder. It's like, that bastard Sam, it's like, he is a literal cockroach and will not stay down, so... And then there's the whole situation with Vanessa bleeding on Lily. It was enough to bring her back, which is an interesting thing because like she lost her sister, but now she's gaining another ally, potentially being Lily. She's kind of a woman out of time, which is interesting because I brought this up before because of the whole like her being back in China was kind of reminiscent of like the comic book Helsing that this series is inspired by, just based on the like covers and tiny bits of the comic I've seen. You know, it seems like it takes place in like Victorian age and, you know, time period and stuff like that. So it's just kind of interesting that we kind of tackled that a little bit when the elder sent her back in time. But now it's a situation of like, oh, now her ancestor is there with her. It's so interesting because it's all about like, oh, we can do this together, which is interesting considering the fact is that she just had to kill her sister. But now like it's one Van Helsing for another, which Lily's the other only Van Helsing left. So, because that's the thing too, like, why was Lily still preserved after all this time? Like, maybe we get answers that potentially for that in the future, because it's like, I guess it was like a spell or curse that put her to sleep, so that's why she would say, that can only be what I assume, is like, it had to be like a spell or something, and it took the blood of a Van Helsing to revive her, or maybe because it's specifically Vanessa's blood with everything that it's got going on, that it resurrected her, so I have no idea. The series kind of leaves you being like, wait, like what direction this was all headed. I was actually halfway expecting to be like, oh yeah, when this ends, like the dark one rises, but it's like, nope, we're still dealing with Sam, so that's very interesting. If anything, I want Sam and the seer to get taken care of, because like the seer is like, oh, she knows so much, and it's just like everything has just been like this long manipulative game of like knowing the truth about everything. You know, because Scarlett died for nothing, because it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess that's to be seen, whether or not Scarlett died for nothing or not. Because if the darkness had already kind of consumed Vanessa, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think it has. Like, especially because of that Muhammad, like the episode where Vanessa kind of had to confront her darkness and she saved Muhammad, it made me think like, no, there's still light in her, and I think Scarlett's sacrifice is enough to keep her from completely going over the edge. Like, I mean, it's already been set that, you know, Sam has become the elder, so what does happen once when, because I know it's going to happen at some point, but like when she kills Sam, like what happens? Does she immediately gain the powers of becoming the elder? I mean, I guess that's what that was all leading to. Maybe the first elder knew exactly that. So when he bit her, he was furthering her down the path of becoming an elder. Because like this path has been something she's been set on ever since she was a little girl. Like obviously we saw like the seer or whoever kind of come to her when she was at a very, very young age. So it's like this path has been laid out for a very long time. So it comes that type of thing of like fate and destiny. Like I said, it really bums me out this is the end for Scarlett. That sucks because her and Axel are good, and that also means that Axel is going to be very like, fuck you, Vanessa, going forward. Like, I think going forward probably can really see him go really renegade and lose himself just because, I mean, because it literally does undo everything. I mean, he literally sacrificed 3 years of his life, and he really always cared about Vanessa, and just like, now, like I said, just the whole situation with his sister, now it's enough to break anyone. Which is so interesting because and I guess that's ultimately, and that's something I brought up last episode too. Like, last episode, I guess, is what inspired Scarlett to do this. Like, maybe she wouldn't have made a sacrifice if they had met that dude last episode, because it made her kind of have faith. And I think faith alone is strong enough to kind of, because she knows that, like, no, with you doing this, I'll be the light to help you because I believe in you, Vanessa. I know this sacrifice will be needed to make sure that you fight the darkness. So, like I said, whether or not she completely submits to it in the future, I think will kind of deter her from that path permanently, but you never know. But I'm so curious to see what they do with the whole Lily situation. Because you got all that going down. You got the Daywalkers. You got Black Tech. There's so many storylines that they're still left open. I'm so interested to see where they potentially will take us in a 4th season. So I did just look it up, and the show has been renewed for a 4th season, which I'm so excited about. It seems like this season, from what I was reading a little bit of, it seems like the show will be diving more into the vampires and understanding their whole situation and what they're all about. So I'm very interested. It seems interesting because I think from what I was reading too, it's going to be like a new showrunner potentially as well. So the feel of the show might be a little bit different because I'd already talked about, I don't know how many different showrunners this show has had. Just for me, tonally, season 3 in some regards seemed like it was different. I don't know whether that was like a director difference with writers, difference with a new showrunner. Like it just felt different in certain regards. Not in a bad way, in a good way. It just felt, I don't know, different. Like especially like that premiere just seemed so tonally different in certain regards. Just a lot of stuff this season just seemed different. Like I said, in a good way. So I'm curious to see where all this will take us going forward into a 4th season. Like what is their plan? The vampires. Will we see the Dark One rise and like this whole, Vanessa and Lily thing? Like, is Scarlet permanently gone, or will there be potentially a way to revive her? I'm kind of leaning more towards the whole like, oh no, she's permanently gone. I hope not, but I'm kind of like, more of my brain is like, yeah, which sucks. Now the only original people left now are Vanessa, Axel, and Doc, now that Muhammad's gone. Well, Sam too, because he's still, once again, like I said, continues to be a pain in the ass. Which I'm saying that from a show perspective. It's really interesting that he's still around and become the villain that he has become. But to be fair, he's been a villain the entire time, we just didn't know it, so. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good